All right. We're glad you all could make it. For our speaker tonight, we have a very special guest, Kade Moss. He wrestled for Penn State college wrestling, uh, which, as you might know, is currently the best wrestling program in the world, I could say. So he's very impressive. He coached for us, was an assistant on our team for a few years. He now does private lessons. He's helped me a lot with my wrestling, and a few of you have also worked with him. But he's got some really cool words to share with us tonight. So let's give him a hand.
Having a mic, for some reason, makes me feel real nervous. Like there's a lot more pressure. Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. Whenever I get the chance to talk to wrestlers or people who got like a team like this that's in the stage of life and where you guys are at right now, I always, I feel that nostalgia and that jealousy, right? Of thinking back on my days when I was in your shoes and how much fun that was and how fondly I look back at those times. So enjoy it, right? One thing I want to start as we're heading into the state tournament. I know wrestling, a lot of times we think of it as an individual sport, right? But it's definitely not. So raise your hand if you're going to state. That's awesome. Good for you guys. Let's give them a hand. Okay. But for those of you that aren't, you should share in that success, right? And you should share in that joy and that of helping them. And those of you that are, make sure you thank your partners, right? Because it does take a culture of a team of hard work and you guys in there pushing each other to help each other share and get to that place and to qualify for state and achieve these goals. So that's cool. It's a whole team effort. So from what I hear, you guys have heard the quote, right? Be grateful, have fun, and score points, right? I think without context, that can sound a little weird, right? If you're just hearing that, right? So what I'd like to do is kind of give some context to that and why that's important to me and what I've learned from those different things. I wish I could take credit for any of this, right? This all comes from what I learned at Penn State from Coach Cale Sanderson. So the first one, be grateful, right? That is something that, again, if you watch college wrestling, if you watch these top guys, especially those guys at Penn State, you're going to hear that in a theme in their interviews and what they're doing. If you follow them online, you're going to see that as a theme in what they do, and that's because that is such a theme in that room. Gratitude is the foundation of success, right? And I know we're talking in a wrestling setting here, but apply this, right? Obviously into wrestling, but apply this to your life as well as you hear these things. Being grateful for the opportunity, right, to practice is going to make that practice that much better. I know I've been guilty of it before, of walking into a practice and that's the last place you want to be, right? And you're feeling tired, you're feeling like this is done, this is over, I don't want to be here, right? And then I know that you guys have probably had the opposite happen where you walk in and you're excited and you're feeling grateful, right? And the practice is very different, and that's just changed by your attitude of gratitude or lack thereof. Being grateful for your coaches, right, who dedicate a lot of time and support and believe in you is going to help you listen to them more and trust in them. And all these things is going to help you be better and enjoy it, right? So being grateful, and if you ever feel that you're feeling the opposite way and you have a negative attitude, I promise, just list some things off that you're grateful for, right, in that moment. And that's going to change that attitude for you. Have fun, okay? This is a game. Wrestling is a game, right? It's a game we get to play. It was pretty crazy the first time I heard Cale Sanderson. Who knows who Cale Sanderson is, right? How many times did he lose in college? 0, right? And I remember the first time I heard him say that winning isn't important and it's not about winning. I mean, my initial thought was like, yeah, easy for you to say, you're not a guy who never lost, right? But he truly believes that, right? Do not focus on the wins and the losses. What you take from this And from this time and what you're doing and the sacrifices you're making and the hard work and effort you're putting in, what you take from this in life is not going to be those wins or losses, right? How many times do you think I've put on I've worn my state medals around the house, right? I don't even know where they are, right? That's not what's important. It's the ability to overcome. It's the things that you learn and those habits that you create as a person, right? I was talking with Ethan. Where's Ethan at? Ethan, right? You just tore your something, right? Not feeling great, right? Going into the state tournament, not feeling great, and still showing up and giving it your best, right? That's the lessons that you learn, and that's the person that you become, right? Whether you win or lose, showing up and giving it your all, right? That's what it's about. So having fun, not about winning. Focus on what you can control. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? Focus on your attitude. Focus on your effort. Hustling back to the center, doing everything right, listening to your coaches. That's going to make it fun for you, right? Not focusing on what's out of your control, not focusing on winning or losing and making it about that. I promise your coaches, your parents, everyone around you, your teammates, no one cares about your winning or losing either, right? It's just about your effort and what you give. And then scoring points, right? That one sounds kind of silly. Obviously, right? We want to score points. You don't play the game of Monopoly and not buy houses and hotels, right? And put them on and just go around. You don't play a basketball game and not shoot the ball ever, right? You go for it. And that's not just about scoring points, right? It's about taking risks, not being afraid to make mistakes. That is such an important lesson, right? Learning how to grow and be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. So stay outside of your comfort zone. So those are a couple of things, right, that were big themes that when I was at Penn State. And one thing that I hear from them right now a lot when I listen to interviews from those guys is pressure is a privilege, right? It's pretty cool that you guys have the opportunity to get into a situation where you're wrestling for your team and you're, maybe the duels on the line or whatever, your team's watching you and your family and your teammates are cheering you on, right? Embrace that. That's fun. That's pretty cool. So going back to that kind of scoring points and taking risks and not being afraid to fail, I'd like to read a message that I saved that Coach Kale sent to us. I think it was my junior year at Penn State. And it meant a lot to me, and I've kept it. And I go back to this and read this quite often. He said, "Men make mistakes. Making mistakes is a part of winning. Trying to not make mistakes is a part of losing. The story is told that on one occasion a traveler asked a farmer who was seated in the doorway of his humble cabin, 'How's the cotton crop going to be this year?' The farmer replied, 'There won't be any. I didn't bother to plant it because I was afraid of the boll weevil.' Upon hearing this, the traveler asked further, 'Well, are you going to harvest a big corn crop?' 'It's the same,' came the response. 'I was afraid we wouldn't get enough rain for the kernels to mature.' The traveler pursued, 'At least you will have a good potato harvest.' 'Nope, not any. I didn't dare plant them because I was afraid of insects.' With frustration and somewhat impatiently, the traveler then asked, 'Well, what is it that you have planted?' 'Nothing, my good man,' came the answer. 'I'd rather be safe than sorry.' Let us learn from this farmer who is so afraid to fail that he chooses to fail to avoid the risk of failing. Silly, right? Let us not, as they say, take counsel from our fears and think that we protect ourselves from failing by not attacking and taking risk. Ultimately, we choose to fail when we hold back our best effort and our best attacks. We want to take risk. We want to attack, and we encourage mistakes. Make mistakes. We value effort. I value effort. We want you putting forth your best effort, and when you do that, you might make some mistakes along the way. That is great. Make mistakes. Hustle will make up for mistakes. The only mistake that isn't okay is the real mistake of not competing with great effort and enthusiasm. Don't be afraid to lose. Be motivated by opportunity. Failure inspires winners. The greatest secret of winners is that failure inspires winning. Thus, they're not afraid of losing. You don't win by choosing to not make mistakes. Making mistakes is a part of winning. Compete big. Focus on what you want and do it. You didn't start wrestling to not lose or to not make mistakes. You wrestle because you want to be the best, to kick some butt and to win the big matches. That's what you want, so be motivated by what you want. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. Like I said, right? Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Go out there. Those guys competing next week, you're going to get taken down, right? You can't control the bracket. You can't control a bad call the ref's going to make. You can't control what your opponent's going to do. It's about how you react when that happens, right? Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Go out there, wrestle hard, have fun. And that applies to everything you do in life, right? Dan Gable has a famous quote. Who's heard this one? Once you've wrestled in life, everything else is easy. You guys heard that? I agree. I understand what he's trying to say there, but I don't like kind of how it kind of comes off sometimes, right? Your lives are not going to be easy, right? Because you were on a high school wrestling team, right? It's not going to make it so that the tough things in life aren't going to come at you. What this does for you in this time and the habits you create as a person, as a young man here in the wrestling room and in these years of yours, the habits that you create are going to help you learn how to overcome adversity and make you get through those times, right? Make you feel comfortable being outside your comfort zone, comfortable under pressure, comfortable not being 100% and still showing up and still giving it your best. So again, be grateful, guys, for the opportunity. Tell your partners, tell your coaches, tell your parents how grateful you are. Compete with, be aggressive, have fun, enjoy it, right? I'm jealous that you guys get to do this, so enjoy it, and I appreciate you guys having me out.